And I think that's interesting. I mean, I'm diverting off, of course, a bit here, but when we do talk about distribution, it's something that I'm studying a lot more this year, just because I want to understand how do we, now that we have so much work coming out of Jamaica, and not just coming out of the region, so not just Jamaica, of course, but coming out of the region and from filmmakers in the diaspora like you, like where do we fit in the distribution like world that's global right now? I'm still trying to figure it out because I was watching a panel about distribution last week, and they were talking about like in one breath they were like, oh well, a lot of distributors don't know how to sell Black film, but then they're telling creators to try to reach out to sales agents. But those same sales agents don't know how to sell Black film, much less Caribbean film. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a weird space right now that I'm really trying to understand a bit more, because I don't know where we fit. What's your feeling on that as someone who lives in the diaspora?
I have the same questions as well. Is it streaming? Is it SODs, stream on demand? Is it AOC? Is it any of these avenues that we have to take? We both know, as far as Jamaica, we don't have a lot of theaters or places that you can go to see. So as far as distribution in the traditional sense, that I don't know if that opportunity is so great for us. So I think for a lot of, and I think for the industry in a whole, streaming on demand, like going directly to a Netflix or a Disney or a HBO Max, that has become the new goal, or the goal for particular West Indian and Black filmmakers, just because the as it stands, the structure as it stands,
Yeah, it's not really made for us to succeed.
It's not really made for us. And, some of my research, is like, I think it's probably more now, but when I last looked, it was 44 point something million people throughout the Caribbean. And that's not factoring who lives in the US and Europe and UK, so there's a huge audience. Like, how do you tap into it? And I'm trying to figure that out myself, but is the industry, or are they really trying to figure that out?
Yeah, that's the part that I don't think they are. Because like even Netflix, for example, I'm sorry, I'm going way off course. This will probably just be like a separate clip that I use later, but like even Netflix, for example, they have a Latin America and Caribbean division, right? So one day I went on LinkedIn, I'm like, I want to see who works here. So I went, it was all Latin American people that their experience was in Latin America. And even their titles didn't include the Caribbean. The division has Caribbean in it, but their titles kind of leaned more to Latin America, which it's not surprising, because I feel like even in music, we're seeing that like they don't consider us a paying audience for content.
Right.
So how do we get over that? I don't know. I know I'm not asking you for the real answer, but like this is what I'm trying to figure out.
It's almost like a question, speaking out loud, because I have the same thoughts as well. And as a filmmaker, you have to do these pitches, and sometimes I throw numbers out there, and they're like, well, yeah, but a huge chunk of my family lives in Jamaica, and they have Netflix, they have streaming. Because we are dedicated, and we support, Jamaican and Caribbean people, we support. If we're into it, we support it. But I don't know if that's been lost. I don't know what's I don't know if it's going to take a bunch of films for them to really look at the number and see like the financial benefits of because at the end of the day, I live in
money.
We know what it's about, but they have to see that and then that translates to us getting more opportunities to put our films out there. Right now, because we said, like, for me, like a lot of the conversations or the inquiries about getting right near the beach is like, a lot of it is like, we want the European distribution right to this.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it's the European or they have more of an acceptance of like
Oh yeah, international.
national films more so than the US, because
Yeah.
multiple times they're like, oh, we want, and I live in the States, like,
You can't get US distribution.
so it's a thing that I'm not sure. I like conversation. We talking about it will help, but and again, it's in all of my pitches, and I have stuff that I want to do in Jamaica. I have more things, and those you constantly have to be banging at this wall, and for African American filmmakers, it's hard enough. For us, we're going with legs tied and our arms bounded behind us just to get something developed, and a lot of it is self-sacrifice and like working your BUTT off and crowdfunding and all of that to get it made, because I think, but I'm hoping once that they understand that and that door locks, it will, a lot of films and more they're being created will be seen.
Yes, exactly. They're already being created. Because I think I like what you said earlier about like our people will support, but what I realized the differentiators, they'll support once it's on a large platform. So if it's on Netflix, they'll watch it. But because right now, a lot of the films are on smaller streaming services that don't necessarily have that like buy-in and marketing dollars to pitch to me. They're not the thing that like people think, oh, I'm gonna watch TV, let me go to this place. It's harder for us to have those like real numbers to show the Netflix, the aggregators or the distributors that work with Netflix, because it's such a weird place to be, because the films are there, but they're just not the place that we want them to be, but they're not going to let us in the door until they see real numbers. So how are we going to get the numbers?
It's like kind of chasing yourself, like and start, and it's I don't know, maybe it's unfortunate because is it going to take a known non-West Indian or Jamaican director to go there and do something, and which is for me is that I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that, is it that's what it's going to take to because I don't know, because my family and people that I know in Jamaica, they're still watching, the Steven Seagal movie that's set in Jamaica. I can't remember the name now, but they still watch all of that because it's set there, and like you're saying, it has a big company behind it, and it has recognition, so they're so attached to it. But maybe that's it. And that's unfortunate that it would take like someone not from the region to make films there. So
or it would be something, I guess is my last point, because I really want to get into your film, but or it would be something like what we saw with Sprinter, where still a Jamaican director, but they were able to pair up with Overbrook, right? So they had that like co-production element, and they had a sales agent that is Jamaican, but worked in the US.
Right.
And we don't have a lot of executives. We don't have sales agents. We don't have those kind of people that understand culturally what needs to happen, like how to sell us, but also has the experience in the North American or global, the Hollywood system market, if that makes sense.
That makes total sense.
All right. Sorry, I can talk about this stuff all day, but I do want to talk about Right Near the Beach. So we just finished, before we segued, talking about filming in Manchester. And for me,